Hello and welcome to my 2022 tutorial about how to make liveries for Assetto Corsa Competizione using GIMP as the program. I have 3 different methods to do liveries for this game. One is using the in-game livery and just putting stickers all around the car. The second one is using images of patterns. Sometimes they are seamless patterns, you can multiply them, sometimes they are not, it's depending on your choice. So is using those patterns to put it on the car and basically cover the entire car like it's a wrap. And the third one, it's basically using one single tool, the path tool, to generate all the lines, make it a selection, and then fill that selection with color. So first of all, we have to close the game. We go to my documents folder, Assetto Corsa Competizione, config, menu settings, and we go all the way down to text DDS and turn it to 0. This way it doesn't generate DDS files, so we can keep rechecking how we are making the livery without having to be deleting DDS files every time. This one you can also open in case you don't have any special program. You can also open it with the notepad. All the way down, text DDS, 0, save, close, and back to the game. What we have to do now in game is create the car template. So if you're going to cover the entire car, you maybe don't care about selecting good in-game paints. Or if you're using the sticker method, the first method, then you might want to spend a little more time here to create a good car. Right now, because we are going to use the same car for all 3 methods, I basically don't really care about the color combination. The only thing is selecting one that won't interfere with some of the stickers I want to put. So we go to again to the Assetto Corsa Competizione folder in my documents, customs, cars. This is the new car. To find it easy, we rename it. We open it, and then we go all the way on the back on custom skin name, and we put a name for the folder. That's going to be the folder that contains all the images for delivery. We keep using the same name for the test. You can use different names for the car, the folder, the file here. It doesn't matter. The important one is this folder name, so it goes with the folder next. So right now we still have in this page, we confirm the car. It should change the different one, because now in that confirm it generated the car. If it doesn't happen, just confirm, go back to selection, select a different car. For example, if that didn't happen, you go select a different car, confirm, go back to the original car and confirm again. We go back to the folders, customs, liveries, test 22. You can see it's right here. There's a Decals Json, sponsors JSON. Decal and sponsors are 2 different layers on top of the in-game layer for paints that we can use. Basically the order is in-game paint, the Decals layer, the in-game sponsors, the Pirelli stickers and the wing, and the sponsors layer. So for example, if we only care about the paint of the car and we don't use the wing and we don't care about the side skirts and the Pirelli stickers all around it, then we can work on the Decals layer. If we put things on the sponsors layer and we don't put these ones manually, they will disappear. The same from the wing. So now we confirm that we can leave it like this. so we can see the changes every time. And we go back to find the file with the wireframe, so we can start doing some work. I will share all the wireframes from new and old cards, even the new DLC, in the description. You can download them. We're going to open with GIMP, convert to the color. You can zoom in and out with the control, holding the control key and using the scroll wheel. We activate the wireframe layer so we can see it, and this color group, it contains the in-game sponsors, in case you use the sponsor layer but you still have to keep them. Design some black parts on the wing and the side skirts. And car paint is basically a white layer with the background also. Basically, it's a white layer to indicate which part of the car are considered the bodywork, like the white and black that we have now, and which parts are the usually carbon fiber bits, like this is the front splitter, the diffuser, the wing, the window frames. So right now what we're going to do is start opening as layers, so they open in the same tab instead of different tabs. The images we're going to use. You can hold the control key to open multiple ones, or the shift to click the first and the last one and open. We are going to keep one, so you can see in case you click normal open instead of open as layers. As you can see, they are all in the center. If you do a normal open, you can still move this one by selecting the layer, move it to the current tab, and drop it on top. Before we start, I'm going to explain really fast the tools I use for making liveries. You have the move tool. Everyone knows what the move tool is. We have different types of selection. The selection tool by rectangle, by ellipse, pre-selection, basically it's hand drawn, and selection by wand, and selection by color. Depending on the type of job that we need, we will use one selection or the other. And also in the wand and by color selection, we have a threshold to play with. For example, with the wand, we select the gray part. It selects everything gray minus the green and the white, because there's a big difference in color. If we reduce the threshold to 0, it will only select the pixels adjacent to that one that are the same color, so not even the entire gray thing is selected. If we go to the max threshold, it basically stops identifying colors one from the other, so it selects the entire image. You can start playing a little bit with it to see where it works better for your selection. Next tools are in this little block. The scale, basically I use the rotate. You can keep it normal rotation with 15 degrees limit, or free rotation, or you can also write here the angle that you want. Right now we'll leave it like this for later. Scale, the same. Make big or small, while also you can keep it chained, one axis with the other, or unchain it, depending how works better for you. Also, you can change the format from pixels to percentage or distance, whatever is best for you. For painting, the bucket tool, like we all know. Well, the brush, inside there's the pencil. So if you want a smooth stroke while also playing with opacity or hardness, you go to the paintbrush. Usually I like to keep smooth strokes, so for example, as you can see, the line on the edge is fading, so when you are zoom out or the quality starts reducing, it doesn't look very jagged. you don't see the jumps like they are stairs. Eraser is the eraser. As you can see right now, instead of deleting the image and showing what's below, becoming transparent, it's basically deleting it and putting the secondary color. And that happens because some of the images doesn't have what it's called alpha channel. Alpha channel, it means that when you delete, it goes through, so it becomes transparent. Now you can see the wireframe below. And basically the other tool, the path tool, for selection, for manual selections, you can create an information that you want, modify it by modifying the lines, playing with it, and then you close the formation, select from path, and it becomes a selection. The text tool, if you want to write, you can use the editor to change position. Big and red so it's visible. So in the editor, you can see you can change the orientation, vertical, whatever combination that you think you need. You can go to the use editor and play with it instead of, for example, writing in normal and trying to rotate it, because when you add rotation, it starts to get a little bit fuzzy, the image. It adds interpolation if you don't turn it off. And lastly, also with the color picker, there's different tools. You can use the flip tool here, or in layer transform. Don't use the transform in image because it transforms the entire image. And for delivery, you don't want to modify the wireframe like it is, because you might rotate the wireframe, but the game still goes to search for that part in the original place. If you rotate the wireframe or transform it, for example, I do a 180 rotation. So now the left door is on top instead of being on the bottom. The game still will look for the left door on the bottom. No, doesn't matter if you leave it like this. So it's better to the wireframe never transform. Every time you need to transform something, use the layer transform to flip or to rotate, if you don't want to use the rotate and flip tools here. And also the last one is on colors, map, color exchange. So for example, I want all the white to turn red. You can see then you play with the selection a little bit to see how you can improve it. You go all the way, usually you go over it. And sometimes this will be the better option. Some other times it will be better to select by color and use the pen big size or the bucket tool, whatever you prefer. Everything is trying what is going to be better for you. Okay, so now that I have played every different tool that I use, I'm going to go a little bit quicker and start putting all the three types in the same car. A couple of stickers on the car, I will also apply a pattern to the car, and lastly do a figure with the path tool so you can see how it works properly. And now we're going to put, for example, this one, we put it on the bonnet. We go to Shift R, well, we already rotated, so we go to Shift S to scale it, we zoom in, and we move it a little bit down, scale, move it back up. We're going to remove the external white part. And one extra thing that I forgot to say about selections, was we select, you can see in some of the corners there's still a little bit of white gray. So what we can do is we select the outside, we go to select, and we had two different options: shrink, to shrink the selection, and grow. Because we selected the outside, we go to grow, and we can grow back 1 pixel, and it will go 1 pixel in on the selection. So all these extra pixels that haven't been selected on all these borders, it will go in. Now it's perfectly clean. Because the alpha channel is already there, you can use the eraser. You can go eraser small and go manually doing it. Eraser big and one click on it. You big and one click and it's enough. Or the delete key. Boom, done. Cancel the selection. As you can see, clean lines, no white on the outside. Right now, that's one. This one, it's entirely black. We put the white a little bit so we can see it. It's black with some white on it. We go to select by color, select the black, so it selects everything black. We try the paint method. It also goes over some of the parts that are white. So this one is a good candidate for the color exchange. Colors method, color exchange, is entirely black, so it will be very easy. Or you can go to the color picker, pick the black, okay, to color, boom. You can see it leaves the white spaces in between. So that's good. We don't even need to play with the threshold on this one. Zoom out a little, cancel selection, zoom a little bit more. We're going to put this one in the front left wheel well. If this plays, you can see the image, both lines are straight. The wheel well have a little bit of ondulation. What we can do is the scale tool, reduce it a little. You can also, if you don't want to move it, you can also play a little bit to find your location, while we also have this, so you more or less know if it will fit or not. Like for example, this is good in size, but we still have this ondulation that we can solve. When it isn't too much ondulation, we can solve with the shear tool. So it basically gets inclined a little bit. If you go to the extreme, it starts to get elongated a lot. But if it's only a little, it can work. So something like this. Shear, move tool, move it closer, and that's it. Next one, the Nürburgring. We can put this one on the rear quarter panels. So we can go a bit like this. The letters on the car, the track layout going around all the parts. So now we have on the left side, we want it also on the right side. We duplicate the layer, and when we move it, one thing I like to do is do the movement in one go. So we also, as you can see here, is move the x-axis and y-axis. So the moment you drop the selection, it resets those values. But if you keep in the first move, you can use those numbers to keep the lines straight. So for example, right now, if I keep the first axis, the x-axis at 0, it means I am the same vertical line as the original one. So we can go, move it a little bit, more or less adjust it by the text now, the position, and go to 0 on the x. We keep 0 on the x, we can drop it here. But if we go to the game now, it will look like it's upside down, because you can see the car parts are upside down, but the text is normal. So in this case, we can use the flip tool. Flip or layer transform. Flip horizontal vertically. Right now we have to flip vertically, so we can go to also do the flip tool, and holding the control key, it changes to vertical. So change to vertical, flip. But now the text is also flipped because it's put together. So what we can do is separate the text from the track decal. With a normal selection, it gets difficult because the lower part of the G goes in the same row as some parts of the track, so it's difficult. So we can go to the free select or create a path, whatever it's better for you. You can create a path around or the free select. So you click and go around. You can also stop the click to reset it if you want to go clicks by clicks, or if you want to make it like more like a drawing, you keep the button holding it and go to the first point to close the selection. You can do that or start playing with multiple clicks, whatever is best for you, what you find better. But right now we cut the selection, we paste so it goes to a different layer. We make sure it goes to a different layer by clicking new layer or to new layer. And now the text is independent from the track, and we have to do is a horizontal flip so the name can be read properly when it's upside down. We move it a little to adjust it a little bit more. Right here looks good enough. And now if we want to move all this block together, what we can do is merge the layer down to the original layer. It goes to the first visible layer, so make sure you put the layer that you want to merge, you put it on top and both are visible. So then you go merge down and it keeps the name of the original layer, the one below. And now all this moves like a block. And the last piece for the wing, same thing, because there's a little bit of red, you can select by color the black parts, and because we want to delete, we make sure the alpha channel is set, and because we want to delete the other part instead of the black, we can do two things: to cut and paste and make a new layer, or invert the selection, so now the selection is the outside part and you go with the eraser or the delete key, whatever is better for you. And we use the color selection because if we go to fuzzy select, you have to select letter by letter. With the color, because everything is black, you select everything. So now that we have it all in black, we can also paint it. Because everything is black, we can select by color, select the pen, go with the pen or the bucket, and it will paint the entire selection. In this case, you don't need to go to the color map, color exchange. Cancel the selection, zoom out, we move it on top on the wing. And as you can see in the wing, these lines that get closer mean there's a curve in that part. So basically this is the upper part of the wing, the curve from the front, and the underside of the wing. And because we want to put the entire image on the upper part of the wing, you go to the scale tool, hit it. Right now, if we keep it changed, it will make the image smaller. But I don't want that, so I unchange it, move it up, make sure it's over the smaller lines, so it's all on the upper part of the wing. Hit the scale, and that's it. Now to save it, we hide all the layers that we don't want to show. Right now we have all the 4 sponsor images. Go to File, Export As, Documents, Assetto Corsa Competizione, Customs, Liveries, and the folder that we made. And now you can also, once you have the folder selected, you can add to the favorite selection, so you go faster to that folder where you're working. And now, because we are using the wing, we are going to rename this one as the sponsors layer. Because everything is taken out other than the sponsors, it will show the in-game paint, but the in-game sponsors will disappear. And it will show our sponsors. From the option for the PNG file, I just keep it at compression 1, so it isn't uncompressed, but it keeps the compression as minimal as possible, so it still looks good, but it doesn't generate gigantic files. At 1, save, now half a megabyte. You want it as small as possible so the game lags the minimum possible. So you can recharge the card selection by hitting on the number or going back and forth. You can see King Sponsor, the rear quarter panel, the one we put with the shear tool, but for test purposes it's enough. The front one, the one that we do the flip and then cut the name and flip it again independently. So now you can read both while the track stays mirrored. And as you can see, there's no Pirelli sponsor on the front or the side skirts or any on the rear, because the sponsor layer is covering the sponsors in game. Now we are going to do the pattern. For that, we are going to use a pattern file and we play with it. We have it here. We go to the selection. We want to take out the watermark. What I like to do is select more or less around the line, and instead of manually trying to adjust it, sometimes it's difficult, I go here in the size and click by click you can move the selection. One extra click, perfect. So now it's adjusted to the line. We click on the image so the selection is confirmed and cut paste. You can see it's now in a pasted layer, two new layers, so now it's independent. And the one below, because it's a JPEG, it doesn't have an alpha channel, but because we don't need the watermark and all that, we can delete this one. So on the pasted layer, we show the wireframe. What I like to do is usually play with it by not only, this one is a seamless pattern, where it stops, it starts in the other edge, like right to left and top to bottom. What I like to do is multiply it, duplicate layer, duplicate layer, layer, duplicate layer. Let me quickly put this one together. You can also move by using edge pen or holding the space key. So now as you can see, the pattern is seamless on every edge. What I like to do is, from one pattern, we can generate new images by flipping the other ones. So we generate a new image on the edge by using symmetry. You can see the horizontal ones, I flip it horizontally. The vertical ones, I flip it vertically. As you can see, on every edge, there's a new symmetry generated, a new figure using symmetry. For example, we can use this one right here that is more or less small to put it on the car, on the roof. What we can do is the extra selections. Right now, we don't want it, so this one, delete. The one on top, delete. And the one right here, we can duplicate this one and flip it, or duplicate this one and flip it. Whatever it works for you. So again, 0, 1000. Zoom out, flip tool, flip. And now we have our squares of 4 images. We merge down. Or if you turn off everything else, you can have all those 4s and merge visible. That should be right here. Merge visible layers. If you turn off everything, let me go back on all 4. If you only have these 4, everything else is turned off. Merge visible, merge, and now all 4 are together in one. You can go the way you prefer. To play with it, what I like to do is go to put the layer that I want to work with on top and reduce the opacity so I can see. Go to the flip tool, 90 degrees, rotate. You can zoom in a little. So right now it looks pretty centered. What we can do now, there's two different things. If the PNG has good quality and you don't want it to look too convoluted, we can, let's keep the white so we know where we are. Let's opacity a little bit more. We can resize this one, scale, but then it moves out of the selection that we did. If you don't care about that, for example, you can go, we cover all the white that we want, scale, so now it's selected. We go to the fuzzy select, go to the wireframe layer, click on an empty spot, and it selects every car part, but it selected the outside, the empty space, but it rounds every car part. That's what we want. So we can zoom in so we see something else. We go to select bring, so with only a couple pixels, we go away from the car parts on the selection. This way we make sure that when we go to clean the pattern layer, we don't clean too much, we don't clean too close to the edges of the parts, so we then get some spots empty of paint or pattern. Right now, in the layer, we had the outside selected, delete key, and boom, everything that was selected is with a pattern on top. It didn't go the way we wanted with a figure on top because we stretched it. As you can see, it works. If it's a more convoluted pattern or doesn't have any seamless form, you want to put it one on top of the other. We're going to save this one as decals, so it doesn't override the sponsors, it goes below the sponsors. PNG. And same, compression 1, save it, boom. It painted everything that we selected on the car. Because a bit of the diffuser was also selected, we also have some parts. You can then clean it. For example, for the diffuser, it was this part. You can go to the eraser and manually erase it. Go to the selection tool, or for example, because we had the white part, we can go to the white car paint. Let me turn off the others. Select outside of the white. And now what we have selected is the parts that are carbon fiber. So delete key. The same here. These parts are also carbon fiber. And here, select again. Or you can also hold the shift key to do multiple selections. You can see, everything that could be the carbon fiber parts are selected. Go back to the original layer. Delete. Only the body parts have a pattern. The carbon fiber bits doesn't. We can also still go and export as, or because we already set the options, we can export as decals and let it do automatically all that. We wait for it to show here on the bottom bar. Done. As you can see, the diffuser is now clean, the front splitter is clean, the window frame is clean, the rear windows are clean. This is if you want to put a big pattern on top, you don't care about the edge meeting one part of the other. This is just when it's a more convoluted pattern, you can do this and go away. If you want it to properly fit on the lines, then you have to go part by part of the car manually applying the pattern. So we go back a little bit, a lot more than a little bit. The other thing you can do, max opacity and duplicate the pattern and do basically the same thing, but duplicating it so you go and put the parts together. Right now I'm not going to go for perfect fit, just covering what they know is white. So everything that was white now is covered. Now only selected all these new layers, merge visible, merge, here to go full screen size, show the wireframe, show the colors, and do the same thing. I only want the body parts to be selected, so the same. Select on the outside, select every bit that should be carbon fiber space. We go back to the layer, delete key, and because here on top it doesn't go all the way there, what we can do is to clean that up. For example, I want to keep the pattern on the wing, but delete the rest. So the wing was on the design. So hit here and go to the pasted layer, making sure I don't go over the side parts of the wing. Delete this part, cancel the selection, clean the rest manually. And now every bit plus the wing and the side wings are with the template. Same thing, hide everything minus the template, export as decals, export it. Now we can see it here. Because we didn't go for fit on the panels, you can see different borders going wrong, but if you are going more carefully and working maybe layer by layer each part of the card, you can do it more perfectly. Because all of this is one of these panels putting in half. If we were more careful, we would have put every panel instead of more or less close to the edge, exactly on the edge. So we still keep that seamless form. But for the last part, so we go quick and doesn't go too long. Go to the path tool. For example, on this left door, we are going to create a figure. For example, we can make a lightning bolt. So we go start where we want. Make the figure, we can adjust it a little if we go too long or too short. And we close. And for example, I want to make this one a little bit more circular. So we adjust the lines a little bit. And same on the other. This is now you playing, making the lines that you want. Right now, for example, we leave it like this. Go to right click, select from path, and now we go to the bucket. We change the color that we want. For example, we can keep it the original yellow from the pattern. So you can look more or less from the same image. And before we start putting things, we go to a new layer. So we paint in a new layer. And now you can go to the brush or the bucket. Because it's a selection from the path, it will have a smooth edge. You can see the edge is fading a little bit. It doesn't go full color until the edge and then nothing. And if you keep the original selection, we can play with it. For example, we can shrink it like 18 pixels. Maybe it's too much, maybe not, don't care. Select a different color, paint it again, and it still keeps that smooth edge. If we don't, if for example, we did the original painting, we cancel the selection, and then we want to paint it inside. We go to selection with the wand, or select by color, shrink it again, go to the bucket and paint. Because it wasn't the original path selection, now it doesn't have that smooth edge fading. So as you can see, the yellow part, it's fading from the full color to white, to transparent, more than white, like playing with the opacity. But the new part, because it was one selection, it doesn't. So this one will look good, and this one will look all jagged. We can see it in game. Let me close everything. We are going to put this one with the sponsors in the sponsors layer, so it goes on top of the pattern. What I can do also is to keep it more or less everything in a more visible, clean way. We can generate folders. For example, everything that is a sponsor, we can create a folder, rename it whatever we want. Sponsors, for example. Apply some color code so we know. You can see now we can hide and show all the sponsors at the same time. So now we only have to keep two layers checked to show, instead of having to check and uncheck 6. So export as sponsors, replace, export. Back in the game, boom. You can see, we zoom in a lot, the yellow lines are smooth, and the green lines, you can see the stir effect, the jagged lines, instead of being all smooth with that fading. How can we basically adjust if we did that mistake and cancel the selection before? How can we work around that? One thing we can do is new layer, again on the path tool, and use the original path, because it has, you can see the green part doesn't have the edge points, because when we shrink this part, instead of an edge, it became a curve. But we still have the original points. We can go to the original line, create again. It doesn't need to be perfect, but we can try to recreate the selection while remembering we are still in a new layer. So whatever we do now, we don't delete the thing that we did before. Again, we adjust it again to the same, more or less. And this is why I say this is the tedious part. So basically, every line that you have to do, if it isn't a straight line, you have to play with these two lines to control the undulation of the path line. So more or less, this one looks nearly matched to the original one. So now, select from path. Now we do the shrink again. It more or less became the shrink like it had before. Go to the bucket, paint it again, hide the original, and we can see this one now it has that fading, that smooth line. So we can cancel this selection, go to the original one, we hide it, we go to the original one, select this one by color or one, whatever you prefer, and we grow it a couple pixels, 3 for example, and we grow, color picker, the original yellow, and we can go to the bucket, boom, paint it, or the pen, the brush, go gigantic, doesn't matter, just enough to cover the entire image is enough, like this, one click, boom, all yellow. Cancel the selection, and then you have both parts, both smooth, and everything is in one layer. And then if you want, you can keep it like this, or you can merge it down. You can also, for example, merge it down, and in this one, add some filters like anti-alias. If you think you want to try to smooth it a little bit more, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's mostly for text, I think. Enhance, it's the same, the sharpen. Or also, for example, we can add some shadow. You can adjust it. You can play with the angle, for example, -45, or you can type it on it. Double click, type, enter. The length of the shadow. Maybe we can put it a little bit, not too big, just a little bit more angled. And then we play a little bit with opacity, just enough so it doesn't show all black, but with a little bit opacity we can try to make it like it's popping off from the car, like if it was a 3D image, playing a little bit with the shadow. So now we have it prepared. Export as sponsors. Now it's just enough, so depending on how you see it, because you can see the small line, it makes it pop off a little bit more. If you look it from the side, it's flat, but depending on the angle, you can make it look a little bit more. About the painting, this is it. Now what we want to do is make sure to generate the files so the car works properly, because the thing we turned off before, the DDS part, we're going to turn it on again. But for that, close the game. Alt F4, close it fast. Menu settings, turn it back to 1. So now we generate those DDS files because we are done. We are not going to modify anything more. And those DDS files contain the image libraries for the game to work with. Before, it generated, when the value is at 0, it generates those images, but internally. While the game loads, we go back to the library folder. Because that value is at 1, and we didn't change the car from the car selection option, the game at the start will lag a little bit because it's going to try to generate those DDS files. If we had selected another car, when we go back to the original car that we did, it will lag then. But that lag is normal. You can see starting to generate those DDS files. The decals and the sponsors. The one used for the car selection menu is the _0, is the full 4K image size, the same as we have been working on the wireframe. The in-game one reduces that size to half, so we have to go to the track. Doesn't matter if it's online or offline, and during the load we are going to generate _1 DDS. That one are the ones that are usually shared, because are the ones needed for the players to not lag when you join with the livery.
Alright mate, this session is about consistency. Try to be fast, but don't push it too much over the limit.
You can go to the outside and see it. One extra thing that you can do is modify the Decals Json and Sponsors Json, because those two contain the information for the type of paint that's going to apply to that layer. Right now, this value is the equivalent to the glossy paint. In the same file I'm going to share with the wireframes, there's also different JSONs containing the values for the different in-game types of paint. You can see for chrome, glossy, matte, metallic, satin, and satin metallic. All these are going to also be included in that file. And you can also not only use these values, you can also put values that you want between 0 and 1 and make a type of paint especially for you. Like with everything, you can play with values and select what you prefer. So that's it. That's how I make liveries for Assetto Corsa Competizione. There's the 3 ways, like I said. Let me just the position. Like the sticker one, you make an in-game color selection and put the stickers around the car. Depending if you are going to use the wing with 4 stickers or not, you can put it on the Decals one or the sponsored one. The sponsor if you want to delete the original stickers around the car, or Decals if you want to keep all those advertisement stickers. The pattern, you identify the car part that you want to cover and modify the pattern to your taste and go putting it on top. Once you have it put it on top, you can clean the parts by doing that selection on the wireframe, shrink the selection and going back to the pattern layer and erasing the extra. So you make sure you can work meticulously part by part doing that. You make sure every part is a clean pattern, or do like I did and go all over it and use that mix. And the last one, the path to make the lines, play with it. Thank you for watching and goodbye.